Hello, this is Daryl Pillsbury with another edition of A Conversation with Me. And it ain't just me. Today, we're very lucky to have State Representative Sarah Edwards with us. She is a progressive Democrat from District 3 in Brattleboro. I served with Sarah up in the State House for 6 years. And Sarah, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Daryl, it is a pleasure to be sitting here with you. It's just like old times.
It is like old times. Matter of fact, before we came on air, I was talking about, remember when we were at the marina talking about this, I had just got elected, and you were interested in politics, and we were just hanging out at the marina, and I said, hey, just, do it. And who would have thought we both would have been sitting up there at one time?
And actually we sat in a similar area
That's
of
right.
the State House
you were
floor.
right behind me. I love that area. You're still there, right?
I'm still there. I don't think I'm going to move from there. It's
No,
a good
you kind of get, I notice a lot of people, they do move around.
Yeah.
I really liked my spot. It was in and out easy. I liked where I was sitting. It was nice. So Sarah, now that you've been there quite a long time, I mean, you really know the ins and outs. You've been on the House Natural Resources and Energy Committee now for, this is your, what, 7th year?
Yes.
7th year, because you've been 9 years, and first 2 were in GovOps.
I had GovOps, which was a great place to be, because you learn all the different connections of all the agencies, and so you
that's true.
You get a very quick set of information on who to contact for what. So it makes it easy if you're doing a lot of constituent work.
And well, the first year you were on that one, you guys also did the redistricting at that time. That was unbelievable.
Week after that.
Oh, did you really?
The session after.
Oh,
that.
you were. Oh, yeah, that's right. My first year. That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know you were very busy. That committee that you're on now, you guys do an awful lot of work, and this is one of them committees where the future is there to be taken. So let's get into, we're going to talk about Vermont Yankee, because I know the viewers will want to hear about Vermont Yankee. We're going to get into that. It'll probably be the second half of the show. But right now, talk about some of the bigger bills for you and your committee, how many bills there were. Just give us a little background, Sarah.
I'll give you a little context for what this session was like. It was one of the busiest sections that I've experienced in all the years I've been there. Yes, it was as though the floodgates opened with a lot of creativity and a lot of ideas that had been being pent up over the last 8 years when we weren't just simpatico with the governor who was there. And there was generally a lot of resistance, especially to the work that my committee was doing, which was a lot on energy and advancing our energy portfolio. And we have made a lot of controversial...
Yeah, that was kind of non-existent with the other governor.
Yeah, it was, and he vetoed, so that's the proof is in the pudding. But just to set you up a little bit, and I'm going to have to apologize in advance, I'm coming off of a bit of a cold, so
Well, you sound okay, just don't give it to me.
No, I'm way beyond that stage, but I may have to cough every once in a while.
That's all right.
The Legislative Council, who handles all the things that we do in the legislature, I called them and asked them what the total number of bills that we all entered into this year, and that total for the first session only, this is 4 weeks generally, was 571 bills got a number this year. That is a lot. So you have to double that, or plus next year we're likely to have that same amount. So during the biennium, which is the 2 sessions, we're likely to have over 1,000 bills.
Now, when I first got there, what I did, and because we're citizen legislatures, we don't know everything that's going on. When the bills came in, oh my God, Sarah, I was taking them over. I'd bring them home at night. I started going through them, and then I was like, this is nuts. And then you've learned some are going to go, some aren't. You know who, like you said, with the contacts, you know who to try and follow, because that is when you just say that number, it's mind-boggling.
You cannot do it, and then that's just the House side. Did 460.
Yeah.
And the Senate side did 111. Of course, they're 30 and we're 150. So out of all those bills just for this session, the House passed a total of 50.
Wow, then that's not bad.
And the Senate passed a total of 25. So as a total, we passed out 75 bills. Now, whether those bills, we're still waiting to see the final results, and the governor's madly signing. Which ones get signed into law is still up. They're still working on that. And so that's 75 bills. Some of them passed just the House. Some of them passed just the Senate. But we think that we're going to have a number of those bills, very important bills for this year. And I thought I would just sort of do a little drive-by of a few of them. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Okay,
because
and then later
I know, people, we get a little blip. That's why I like having, our local legislators on, because you just get a little blip, and here you can kind of get into some of the details and tell us kind of like how it's going to either affect us or how it's supposed to work, supposedly.
Right. I'm
so
going
go
to
ahead.
get into some details, but I thought I would focus on some of the ones that have a little more meaning in general for Brattleboro.
That's perfect.
And then I'll save on the bills that I'm more in detail with because I've worked on them in my committee.
Okay.
For instance, I can tell you what I'm not going to talk about.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what we talked about earlier, too,
Yeah.
because we do have another show that talks about
That's
healthcare.
right. Right. And I'm probably not going to get into education because a different representative spends all her time working on education.
And we had her on.
You already had Val on. So that's Valerie Stewart, and she's District 1. And Molly is
and we're gonna have her
basically
on.
a superstar in transportation. She got a giant bill through this year. She really learned how to navigate fast. And that will be on, she'll probably talk a lot about complete streets, which is new legislation backed by AARP, which is great when you have such a giant organization backing you. And I'm not going to talk about health care. First of all, health care is a moving target. Second of all, there are people far better than I am to really talk about it in a meaningful way. I could be very general, but let's get your friend Richard Davis on to do that.
He's going to be on later today.
Good.
We will be doing a healthcare update show, which we've been doing quite often.
Great.
But with you being here, I thought, the bills you've tried to get through and what's going on your energy committee, because you've had some big things happening. So go ahead, Sarah, and let the people know what you worked on.
What I have here, I copied this off before I came. This is the Legislative Bill Tracking Center, which is available to everybody who goes to the state website. And in my area and other areas that I was branching out into, I sponsored 35 bills. That doesn't include resolutions, which few resolutions are very individual and very specific to specific people, but some of the bills are quite meaningful. Resolutions are quite meaningful. For instance, I was part of one this year that was sort of trying to get us back on track and refocus on global climate change, because that is a concern for so many people, and I don't know.
That kind of lost its luster there for a couple of years. I still think it's a big problem. Oh, yeah.
That happens because you cannot focus on everything 100% of the time, and that's where as you remember, the prioritizing comes in. So I don't know if any of you caught it last it was last Sunday? I think it was last Sunday, Mother's Day. Several of us walked with high school students who were trying to bring more attention to the global climate change issue. And that is...
Speaking of the high school students, Sarah, one of the things that I was very impressed with that you did was, and I happened to talk to, on my street walking thing, we ran into the CLIA folks. Now, this group, of course, wasn't there when you helped them get the the sweatshop legislation through.
That's right.
Which I thought was really something. And for that, on that one right there, you got to work with these high school kids all the way through the process, and they learned a lot from that right there.
That's great. We worked for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'll just briefly summarize it if that's okay. We worked for 2 years to make sure that the state is not procuring its goods, uniforms, because we have to supply corrections uniforms.
Correction uniforms.
Everything, you name it, we buy things as the state. And so what we came up with was that the state would add to its regular contracts specifying a statement that would say, we do not engage in goods that come from sweatshop factories. Now, how do they find this out? There's an organization, sort of a watchdog organization, that we will subscribe to help us as we try to manage this policy that the state wants.
And the thing is, because I don't want to dwell on it too long, but the reason why I brought it up is because these young ladies, mostly who were involved in this, they got a taste of politics, and some of them, because I've run into them a couple times
Yes.
later, that experience was very good for them.
Yep.
So that's why I bring that up, Sarah, because that's one of the things I think is really cool. And
it's cool about the Vermont legislature because
Yeah.
the big thing, as we all know and we all live with, is the fact that it's so accessible.
Yeah.
That is really important. It's not like that in most states.
No.
I'm hoping to start working with this other group too, the Climate Preserve Our Planet group, which is a similar group to CLIA. They work on very large issues that have very specific consequences.
Excellent.
So, okay. What were some of the, let me just check here and see what are some of the things I listed to just breeze through.
You got quite a list there.
Okay, just some of the bills that I wanted, that I introduced, that I didn't know that they would get any attention, and most of them didn't. But I am very concerned about energy use and our ability to manage our energy conservation, efficiency, and use. And so one of those bills I put in, and this goes along with the speaker's desire to begin to put good behavior forth from the state government around energy issues. We've done an awful lot. But this one was, I thought, let's have energy efficient vending machines. So
Great idea.
In all state buildings. And so the thing was, is that I'm assuming that we contract these. We don't own these. But when that contract is renegotiated, make sure they put in an energy efficient Energy Star vending machine in there for you. It will help the state. Green insurance. This was an idea that came from a colleague up there. We want to make it easier from an insurance perspective for people to car share. I mean, actually own the car together. I know that people, but it's very difficult to get insurance to cover you, so that rather than having a burden on one person and the underwriters putting it on one person, if it's two people who actually own the car and want to both be responsible for the car, let's work out an insurance policy that allows them to do that.
Huh.
Just a simple idea. So let's see. One of the things we did this year, you know, we are very concerned about water quality. So there was a bill.
Am I.
Yeah.
That's one I've always been. And
Can't
I'm glad
live
that
without
I am glad that we here in this state consider our water a natural resource, and we are trying to protect
That's
it. Because
right.
I'll tell you right now, without doing that, the big companies will come in and they'll be taking all of our water out from under our ground. We already screwed up by
That's
not
right.
taking them damn dams.
I know.
But
Well,
that's
that wasn't
another
that
issue.
was
That wasn't us.
That wasn't us.
That wasn't us.
I know.
At least we can say that.
So one of the things is that we are reducing the amount that fertilizer can be placed on yards. You know.
Now, how the heck would you do that?
Well, I haven't got the details worked out. And this is one of those bills where you're dealing with a concept, and then the actual steps will come later.
Yep.
But it's not saying that people can't fertilize. It's just don't
The dog
fertilize.
fertilizes mine. I don't put anything else on it. I don't think we need
Well,
to.
people are starting to realize, number one, it's just
It's ridiculous.
whatever. You know, and then also realizing that prescription drugs, you know, we often flush prescription drugs
Oh, yeah, I
down
just
the
read
drain.
that. Yep. Now, I've known that's been a problem because some city came out with it a while back when they
Yeah.
were saying our water was containing more than, it was
Yeah,
awful.
especially hormones and antibiotics, and I don't know the lifespan of these things, but still.
Me neither.
And also, we passed a bill that, you know how we passed that e-waste bill last
Yeah, that was-
session?
yeah.
That was a great bill. That was the bill that I reported. Really was happy to do that. But we're going to be making sure that the, what are they, CLFs, what is it, compact light fluorescents, they contain mercury.
Yes.
And so we're going to be addressing proper disposal of that because the mercury can get into the water.
Yeah. The hospital, we have, when we get rid of our light bulbs, they've done us very different, special way because of that right there.
Yep.
Yep.
We'll get there.
It's very important. Yeah,
We'll
this
get
is
there. This
we
is
will.
progress.
I mean, hey, you're darn right. I mean,
Every year is progress. Now, another one off the energy aspects is the fact that the State House was very interested in dealing with repeat drunk DUIs, repeat DUIs.
I'm with you on that one, too.
And what we have done, we have, and I'm not going to get into the details, that is Bill H264. If you want to look it up, I'll try to give the bill numbers where I can. But but we've escalated the scale of the penalties in terms of actual jail time.
You know what a lot of the problem is? These folks, they don't even care if they get picked up again without the license. I mean, how many times do you get a DUI, third, fourth offense, suspended license?
That's what's just
they
unacceptable.
don't care, and that is unacceptable.
So
I'm sorry, man. I
too
want to have
many,
as much fun as the other guy, but that's beyond
it's
fun.
not smart.
No.
So
You're
you
killing
know,
people.
we're dealing with repeat offenders in that one. There was a big push down here in Windham County around child care and child care providers, in people who provide child care in their homes, that they wanted stronger voices at the table. And
I'm up for that one too, because my wife did it for years, and they
Yeah.
need to have a little bit of a voice.
they won't be state employees, but it's going to be.
Well, that I
it gives
wasn't
them,
too sure if I was for that, you know.
They're not going to be.
Yeah,
So-
you got to be careful, and you know, being there,
Yeah.
the pressure would be immense.
Well, yeah, we didn't do that, and I don't know that they want to be state employees anyway. But
Yeah, me either.
anyway, they will be able to collective bargain now. Just the
As a
ones,
whole, for their funding from what comes down from the state, right?
yeah, but it's going to be on limited issues,
Yeah,
and
I'm sure. That's all right. It's
again,
it's a foothold.
it's the child care bill. Oh, here's one that a lot of people in Windham County will be interested in: midwives. Midwives were only able to deal with their insurance policies if they were in the hospital.
If
So
the
you
midwife was
couldn't-
in the hospital.
If the midwife was in the
And
hospital,
the patient, okay, so they
they
couldn't
could
do it
not,
at home.
They could not do it at home with insurance. Now,
Yeah.
but Vermont Medicaid could.
Wouldn't that have dropped the cost of insurance? I mean, now you're at home,
Yeah.
which is cheaper.
I know.
You're more comfortable. Come on.
Some of these things are intuitive anyway, so we got good luck on that.
Yeah.
And of course, most people of the marijuana dispensaries.
Yep, that's been a good
We
one.
passed a bill when you were there about medical marijuana use.
Yep.
And apparently, from what I've learned, there are about 1,000 people in the state of Vermont.
I think there's only 350 licensed.
Well, let me.
Is it up? Do you have it
you
more
know
now?
what? I got this. I got this from another.
It may be now.
Person. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's between whatever Daryl said
And
it's
1,000.
somewhere in between there. But the bill is going to allow for four medical
Four. Good.
dispensaries.
I thought it was only 2.
Well, things change at the end of the session,
Yes, they
you know,
do.
and so
Somebody wanted one in their neighborhood?
probably. But
I'll take one.
the thing is that another thing. These are all what I think the outcomes were, but
Right. Sometimes you
bills
don't
are
know.
Still, you know,
Yeah, and if
still
it's an
being-
Uzi bill, you got to read every, you know.
And also, things change. You remember that time we had a bill about that fat, and we got it at 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
We didn't get out till 3 in the morning? So
Well, I
sometimes
remember
that
another bill we
happens.
did, and Governor Dean's lawyers looked at it, and it was the dog, abandoned dog thing,
Oh.
and there was some little thing in there that all the lawyers, everybody else didn't catch. These guys did. We had to trash that one and come back to the table the next year.
Next year. It can happen.
Yeah.
And it gets so
It's
fast
just
at the end of the year.
unbelievable, yeah.
But the telecom bill, I know that there's still going to be an awful lot of discussion about that, and that deals with cell phones and broadband. And the state did, though, through its capital, through one of the money committees, put in $10 million. I believe it is for capital
That probably
investment.
came in. If it was the telecommunication, it was probably the institutions
Yes,
committee. That's
they
a money
came
committee.
in and gave that, and then we had 174 from the federal government
Yeah.
to launch this, which is great.
That is great. Hopefully we can do something with it now.
So we did a lot more to strengthen our food system. We had the results of a very intensive study with Ellen Kaler, and that Vermont towns really, really want to take advantage of the jobs and industry and commerce that is stimulated with our niche food markets. So much money flows out of the state because we buy food from out of the state. And here we are really trying to become a place known for good food and quality food and lots of organics and
Yep.
you know the way we
I think Vermont's known for
approach.
quality, period, food
Yeah,
or
that
anything.
is
So
true.
let's stick with that, and
So-
I'm on board on that one.
Now's the time to do that. So, and we have a lot of expertise all over the state in this, in our towns. So jobs. Jobs, mainly the job stimulus is going to come out of a variety of places. We're looking at it through the telecom bill, for sure. The energy bill provides hundreds of jobs with renewables. Yeah. We've been trying to count them up and get an accounting, but it takes a little while. There's
hopefully somebody can come on a couple, maybe the next session, not next session, but the next when people come back again. They can have some numbers, because that would be a nice thing to show. Hey, here's a factory that just opened up. We got 25 new employees. Because that is going to be,
and developing
to me,
new industries.
That's the future of Vermont right there, or one of them.
It's one of them. I think
it's
the
one we need to
agricultural
get going.
sector and the energy sector.
I
We
agree.
already know there are hundreds of jobs that are being created through the energy sector.
Yeah.
Plumbers, installers, anything.
Builders, manufacturers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the capital bill also expects 1,000 jobs out of some of the investments that they've made. Now that's a big bill to go through. That would take a whole session, so I just trying to hit some of the highlights here.
Yeah, they had more money to spend, I know that.
Yes.
That was neat.
We're doing okay.
Hey, one of the things that I do want to say, thank you very much on behalf of many employees of the hospital, because they now know, the last thing I tried to do when I was up there was get this bill passed that would make it a felony offense to
we did that.
hurt any of us at all. There was always one there for nurses, and it was now passed this session for volunteers, secretary, whoever works in a hospital or is working, volunteering. If you get... And which, believe me, folks, it's becoming quite a spot to be now. We're becoming a dumping ground for all sorts of social problems now.
I'm trying. Yeah, you're taking on people that may not.
The mental health issues and stuff. It's just it's amazing, and we're not trained for it. We're not adapted for it. It's just we're doing the best we can, and I think we're doing pretty good. But
I know that people out there are wishing I could go through every single thing in a 2-sentence, and I'd like to do that. I was looking.
It just doesn't work that easily.
It isn't, and I'm looking for. Here's one that you're going to be interested in, though, for a lot of people. Things that you did 30 years ago. For instance, if you got caught smoking marijuana 30 years ago and just found out you couldn't accompany your grandchild on a school trip because of that earlier charge. I
might need that piece of paper for my next show.
This
that's one of the reasons why I do a show on Marijuana Resolves, Sarah, because I see some of the stuff we're doing based around that law.
What if you were caught shooting off fireworks in the wrong place on July 4th?
Yeah.
Of some years and years ago.
Good thing I've never done that.
We had a big sparkler bill once. Remember that one?
Oh, that was
Tracy?
Yeah.
But if you're looking into that bill, it's S37. The problem is Senate bill. We weren't able to agree on differences between the House and the Senate, so that bill likely to return next year. So
it didn't come out of the
conference committee.
Yeah. Okay. But it did make it that far?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they will be. They're going to be in a long conference committee.
Yep. It's gonna come back out. So, okay. So I don't know what time.
Well,
should
we're
we begin to mosey over to others?
We can. Let's mosey over to
energy bill.
Let's do your energy bill. That's a big one. You did a lot of work on that. That's one that can help a lot of people. Can help the state too. Let's do the energy bill.
Okay. We have been working on innovative energy since 2005, and I started compiling that. And I created this little PowerPoint for people that want to get it, and I'm trying to find a good place to put that, but it talks about all the legislation that we have done over the past, 5, 6, 7 years, since 2005.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
I'm just going to rattle it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, last year we got slowed down because we were dealing on my committee with e-waste, and we were dealing, as you recall, with tritium leaks.
Mm-hmm.
And we were dealing a lot of VY issues, and that really stalled our progress.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to get into that next,
we'll get into
because
that.
I want to know this the whole thing. When you get tritium leaks, how the hell does the committee work on that one?
Well, we can't, because we already tried to do that by when we did the big audit.
Yeah.
They called it a reliability audit. Originally, it was going to be what's called a comprehensive vertical audit. And I actually am the one that insisted they put any pipes that are carrying radionuclides in it. And that's when we had the denial. and that was the last point that we got to make. We made 8 points, I believe.
And Sarah, on that point right there, I got to tell you, I worked down at VY for years, and I was no engineer, nothing. I was just a laborer, okay? But I could tell you right now, I knew there were pipes underground.
Well, it kind of worried all of us when they said they weren't.
I'll tell you one more thing.
You know what, Daryl? We promised each other we wouldn't get into this right now.
Yeah, that's right. Let's not. Good job. Let's go. Keep going on your thing.
Because I can get right into it,
Oh,
too.
my God, me too.
Okay, so what I have here is my update on what we call now the Energy Act of 2011. And really what this is, we're making solid progress. We lost a little steam last year. And there were probably some things that we passed that I'm just not able to think of right now, but solid progress toward delivering on renewable energy future, which is what most Vermonters want. And we did that through an extensive process we interviewed Vermonters, randomly chosen by a reliable firm that was chosen by the Department of Public Service back in when David O'Brien was commissioner. And it came out that people really want renewables. Coal, nuclear, and oil were last. At the last, out of the 10 sources we were choosing from, those 3 were last. So we've been working toward doing really what Vermonters have asked us to do over the past almost decade. So this year, I'm going to use my notes here because there's a lot in this bill. I'll try to keep it quick, though. We have a lot of provisions in the bill, but one of the important things it does and that people are very, very interested in is expanding net metering, which this is what you can do from your own home with small solar and wind projects. So it expands the amount of that we can have because it starts to look like a utility. You get into different level of regulation.
That's right.
So we can't just let, otherwise you're going to come under the Public Service Board and you're going to have to
Which
do
I
a
don't
lot
think you
more.
want to do.
No, I don't think our neighbors want to do that. And this also helps people, homeowners, offset their electric bills, which is just wonderful. It also helps utilities because, our peak use is now in the summer. That's when we use most of our electricity. It's not in the winter anymore. Part of that is because we switched out of electric heat.
Yeah, the nice, cheap, inexpensive that
When
I
it
had
was,
when we
right.
Yeah, it was awful.
It's not electric.
And it wasn't very efficient.
You know what? It's not cozy either.
No, that's right. It stunk.
It's just not
it was
cozy.
awful.
In these winters, we need to be cozy.
Yeah.
The other thing we did was we allowed the size of net metering projects to get a little bit larger. So before this bill, we only allowed a net project that could generate up to 200 kilowatts, and now we can do 500 kilowatts, which is...
Wow, 500... Well,
no, remember, it's not megawatts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry.
Kilowatts.
Good, very good, Sarah. Thank you.
And we also allowed, this is where we allow the number of net metering projects to go from 2 to 4% of a utility's peak demand. So that's good. We made a lot of progress there. We also made solar permitting for smaller systems simplified in terms of more like a registration as opposed, we're not making everybody get a certificate of public good. With a small project, it's really eats up a lot of time and it's not necessary. So
like the co-op,
we're making it easier.
The co-op one, they want to do that. Would they fall under this or are they too big?
It depends. I don't know the size
Okay.
of that, but that is a great project. The other thing is group net metering. So let's just say a bunch of people get together, they purchase a way to generate their own energy. So what we've done is it was up to the people to figure out their bills. Too complicated for people. Let's simplify it for the consumer. So now group net metering is going to be done on an individual basis, even though they share a common source of energy. So that's good. That's good. That makes it easier. The other bill that I think people are really excited about, and the town was for a while, but then it went through some bumps because of what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac didn't like it. And I understand it's because we didn't place their mortgage first if there was a default. We have got
We had a lot of questions. I like the concept and everything, and we said, let's bring
quick
this
start.
talk. Yeah, we'll talk more and stuff, and then we did, but then we just let Pace here phase out.
We did.
But we can get it right back
we
again.
can get it right back in. So this is the program. The details of this are important because you can have a big misconception about it. One of the things is that a town can secure dollars at a much greater rate than an individual. And right now, you can't hardly even get money out of the banks because of the 2008 fall. But what this does is allows the voters of the town to decide if they want to become an energy district. It's a special district through the voters in which individual property owners can decide that they want to make some capital investments in renewable energy or energy efficiency investments through the town and repay. Each individual who engages in this would repay the town through a surcharge on their property tax. So it allows them to pay it back on a greater amount of time. There are a lot of what we call...
Sticks with the home, no.
Sticks with the home. It never leaves the home. When you sell the home, the new buyer takes on that responsibility. And some of us are seeing this as an advantage for selling because you've made these investments, which
and
likely
the people
means
that were
your
against
electric
it and
bills
said,
are going down.
And people who were against it and said, you know, well, hey, it's going to drive the cost of housing up, da 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 da. Listen, you're not interested in that house, then go look at another one because I guarantee you, there's going to be. It's the same problem I have with companies that, you know, I'm for a social responsible company coming to Vermont, and I don't care about all the other stuff. IBM is one of them ones that just ticks me off because they're just so big. But I understand all the other stuff.
Not just because they're big.
You know, no, that's true. But you know how it is. You've been here long enough. Okay, sorry.
Well, yes. We have a special relationship with IBM in many, many ways.
Yes.
We've
Some good,
some
some bad.
Requests.
I mean, you know, hey.
They do a terrific job in energy efficiency.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so what else do I have on here? Oh, yeah. So it's paid back through the property bills. And not only that, because this was sort of such a crazy concept to some people, we have belts and suspenders for protecting the investment. The state treasurer is so happy about this. She thinks it's a great idea. It really fits in with what we're trying to do in the state as a whole in terms of energy efficiency.
It backs up our talk.
It backs up our talk a lot, and it's very well protected. The
Which
Treasury,
was one of our problems. We were a little afraid of the protection part.
Well, sometimes dreams come.
Yeah.
But she likes it. There's a special fund that is used only for this if there are any problems with it, and also. There's another fund, too. Fund that, I don't want to get into techno speak, but it comes from RGGI, which is the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, and also the Forward Capacity Money. That is a whole technical, just know that
I have no clue what that is.
Two good funds that are coming in to support it as a first line of defense. So we're going to be okay on that.
Good.
Quickly, for people, we also incorporated several changes around the propane industry.
Oh, thank God. Is one of them on owning the tank by chance?
The
No.
two that I wanted to report on today is that they can no longer assess a minimum usage fee.
Okay, that's good.
If they come and they fill it and you haven't used it, they cannot assess a fee for that.
Yeah.
And they cannot assess a fee that is not actually delivered. Apparently, I knew...
I don't know. They do a lot of funky things.
Well,
I had a lot of friends. When I was in the
me.
legislature, I got calls here, and I would try and do something about it. One of my problems was the tanks. If you try switching companies is not an easy deal there. If you got one company,
Well,
they
let me just write
hold
that
you over
one down, and
because they own the tank and trying to switch it, and then they charge you money. Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
What
and if there's
about
still
tank
stuff,
ownership then?
Yeah. Tank
okay,
ownership.
I'll write that down. I'll get back to you on that when I actually see the final bill.
Well, we don't have to worry about it, yeah.
That's important for people.
I will.
I get a lot of calls on that.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. What else you got? Boy,
Okay, I know.
There's tons of stuff happening.
It's unbelievable. So basically, again, what this does, it keeps us on the path to a clean energy future. It attempts in a big way to reduce our dependence on fossil fuel, and it helps. Actually, what this does is the more you do your renewables, it helps protect you from volatile energy price swings.
Good.
Because you're more self-sufficient.
Yeah, and the more of that we do, the less you get the speculators out of the ball
great.
game, too, let me tell you.
A couple other things. Hydro and biomass plants. We had an existing biomass plant that its
it the one in
contract,
Burlington?
Rygate.
Oh, Rygate. Oh, yeah.
Their federal contract was up, and we needed to get that. We didn't want that to go away.
Yeah.
It's not the most efficient thing,
No.
but it is so. It really helps that area a lot.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And what's happening is that we're going to have a comprehensive energy plan by our new fabulous commissioner, Liz Miller. Wonderful to listen to speak, so informed. And we're going to be having 2 reports coming in. One is the comprehensive energy plan for the state of Vermont, which we haven't had in about 8 years.
Yeah.
And the other one is a biomass study. And this is very important because we do have a big resource in the state of Vermont for biomass. One of the questions is, how efficient is it, though, to use biomass for things other than heating? And we're not sure about that. And other things other than heating would be generating electricity. And we're really getting some varying reports about this. And so October, is it inefficient, and how quickly would it use up?
Because I was always a biomass type of person. I mean, we do it in the State House complex and stuff like that, but it's mainly, that's all it is for.
That's heat.
Okay.
Not electricity.
And then Montpelier wanted to get in on us and did. Now we do, I think, a couple of the buildings in Montpelier too.
That's right. Well, that's going to be revived, and also we have the group here in town who
which,
is interested
boy,
in
I tell you,
it's
a slow-moving project, but I'd love to see it happen.
And sometimes that sort of is an example of how the legislature works. Mm-hmm. It's important because you can think this is the best thing you've ever seen, and then down the road, you find out,
yikes.
now we've got to go back and
remediate.
remediate. Yeah. Remediation is not a very inspiring thing to do. You want to get it right the first time. That's why we didn't move too quickly on some projects that looked good. But until we get that report back, we did not authorize those. I hope their business plan can handle it, but we do have it. But biomass is becoming it's a big part of Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York State, and how do we interact with those states on the supplies that they want? Our supply leaving the state.
Right.
So there's a lot to consider before we go after that, and it will be. And that report comes in October also. So.
Well, you were pretty busy.
That's just my committee. And I know that much conversation could be had about the 11 committees that we work in.
Sarah, it seems to me, and I don't know this for sure, but you do spend a lot of time in your committee, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
You don't, I mean you personally, because I know, there was times I wasn't in my committee a lot because I knew I've been through it a lot, and I'd be out doing my other stuff. But for you, it sure seems like because you got so much information that's new coming in and out of there.
All the time, and some of it's highly technical.
Yeah.
For instance.
So you don't have a lot of time to go out and work on other stuff except for after the.
Well, you try to get there for the floor.
Yeah.
When we're passing all these things, because you want to be there for the votes.
Yeah.
And also, that's one of the things you do is you make very strong linkages and networks with other people who. Yeah.
Oh, it's a contact sport.
It is. There's no way I could have, known or talked on every single bill we did. There's no way.
Well, listen, we're going to just keep going on the show here. We were going to do a first half, second half. Now we're just going to do an hour show. We got like 20 minutes left.
Okay. So just 2 other little things.
Let's do them.
Just to give a preview. I have a constituent who was very, very interested in regulating the rent-to-own industry. And I actually made a lot of headway in that. Got involved with
rent-to-own, okay.
Okay, rent-to-own
yes,
is
like,
going in and renting an entire living room or a TV or a computer.
With the option to buy it later, or
that's what you're told, except that most people never get to that point.
Are you kidding me?
So I'm not going to get into it right now, but people can look for that. It's a very important bill in this
You're working on, though, right?
I've got lots of hearing on that.
Okay. We're working on this one.
We're working on
Hopefully
this one
it'll be passed the next session.
It's just like paid sick hours for hourly wage earners. This is how long things can take. Yeah. I've been working on that bill for over 6 years. Last year, I got a hearing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just not the right time. This one...
Well, it depends on who's in charge, who's there, who's the committee chair. I mean, oh my goodness. And, well, that's huge.
Who's the pro tem? Who's the
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
there's just
no,
so
it's-
many things.
yeah.
And what is the appetite? So the rent-to-own industry, we're going to pursue that again next year. The other big issue that's coming up is the solid waste management. The state lacks an integrated solid waste management plan. Now, we've done very, very well thanks to the bottle bill. That was 30 years old, back in 1972 or whenever it was.
Aiken, I think.
It was a great idea, and it really served, and the original purpose, of course, was to stop litter. And it's
worked.
a lot of that has happened.
Are you going to expand it?
Well, here's what we're looking at. It's like so many bills, you've got to get into it bigger than you ever dreamed. Now, the bottles are only 3 to 4% of the entire waste stream.
And we don't even do all the bottles.
Within that sector of those bottles, yes, it's 85% success. But what is the state doing? What have we done as a society in our state to deal with all the other stuff? All the packaging, everything. And so there's this concept around that we really explored with the electronic waste bill. It's called, and you're going to hear more about this, extended producer responsibility. And what are we going to do to increase our recycling rates overall? We do a very bad job overall.
I was shocked at the Brattleboro numbers.
Do you know that Belgium, and of course we have to confirm all these numbers and make sure they're doing them right, because statistics and all, you can really do amazing stuff with statistics. But Belgium is at least a 90% recycling rate of all material.
You gotta be kidding me.
Germany, all
And
material.
we're at what, 20?
We're
18?
I think we're a little bit better. I think we're
Really?
a little bit over
Okay.
30.
All right.
But that's
Well,
kind
that's
of
not bad.
embarrassing for
Yeah, it
us
is
in a
when you're-
green
yeah.
state.
Yeah.
So, but when you do this, you've got to look at who's involved in the industry. There are a lot of small businesses involved in trash hauling, for instance, in our town.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's going to take a while and have big, in-depth conversations, because it's not our job to put small businesses out of work. They're the backbone of our state. And is there a way...
Yeah, they're the ones I want to support the most.
Me too.
I want to support them more than IBM, personally.
Well,
and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheeky, but
Here,
I want to support them both. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about the little guy than I am the big guys, and I always have been.
Well...
Big guys got enough lawyers and people to take care of them.
And also, we thrive on small business. It's
Yep.
just part of our village culture.
Yep.
And you know what it's like when a big industry comes in and then they have to leave for whatever reason. That's hard, so it's better.
Or they
in
threaten
many
you
peop-
before they leave. If
or
you
they
don't give
threaten
us
you,
this,
or try to sue
then
you
we're going to
before
leave.
they leave.
Or that. Which
but-
that puts us into another. Are we
It
done
does.
with your other?
Are we ready to go?
You got 15 minutes now.
Okay, so what do
and
you
I
wanna
know
know,
people.
Daryl?
What do I want to
What's
know?
the latest, right?
I just want to know. Yeah.
I don't
What's
even
the
need
latest?
my notes on this
No,
one.
listen. Let's. Since we have you here,
Yeah.
and as far as I'm concerned, around here, you are like, I don't want to say the expert, but you have the most long-term memory, and,
Yep.
and you're involved in VSNAP, you're a board member. So what is going on with Entergy?
Okay.
Let the folks out there know. You got like another 10 minutes, Sarah, and I don't want to interrupt
Okay.
you or anything because I got my own things. But what let's go.
First
Talk
of all,
about
I'd
Vermont
like to
Yankee.
let people know...
Oh, one thing I want to say at the
yes.
very beginning. Sarah was one of the people when she first was elected, okay, because I remember this, and I remember when we went to Yucca Mountain.
Yep.
I remember when we went and took a trip at Roe. You were talking about economic development back then.
That is
And
correct.
I got to tell you, to
And the
me,
select board, too.
to me, it was a plot by higher-ups to make sure nothing was getting done, because by the time we got to this point,
Yep.
nothing was done.
Thank you, Daryl,
okay?
because it's
and I got to tell you,
absolutely true.
that is absolutely
And
true.
I made a statement
and
to
you
the
were,
select board.
And you were very, very, I mean, I was doing my own thing. I supported that a lot, but you were like the head there, and I let you go, and I didn't support it enough, but I mean, I was with you there. And it used to just tick me off, and now same with the dams. Let's not buy the dams to take care of the power that we could have used, okay? To me, it was all a ploy to keep it running. But hey, it ain't going to happen. So now I'm going to let you go.
I may share aspects of that statement, but others I may not. I mean,
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm very pragmatic that way. You know, whatever happens, we're going to have to deal with it one way or the other.
That's right.
And so we need to try to keep all.
And you're the one that's there, so.
And I'm there. But I want to let people know that I do serve as the House representative on VSNAP, the Vermont State Nuclear Advisory Panel. I've been on that quite a long time. I don't know if it's 6 years or I'm not sure how long.
I think it's longer.
I also am appointed to the Joint Energy Committee, which is a House and Senate appointment. I also serve on the Energy Committee for the Conference of State Legislatures, Council of State Legislatures, and I serve on for NCSL. I serve on the nuclear. It used to be the Nuclear Waste Working Group, but now they're just calling it the Nuclear Legislative Work Group. So I am the House representative to that as well.
Wow.
So I have way more information on this than I ever dreamed or wanted. But here I am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad somebody's there.
And try to be fair about all this.
And I got to believe you are fair as we can be. I mean, we do have a little bit of biases. All of us do. I mean, I know I want the thing to go away now. It's been good and it's done its job.
I'll tell you the thing.
But I am
turn the corner
just.
For me, Daryl,
It's an oopsie thing.
was the pipes issue.
Yeah.
Because
Well, and the
I
lion.
sat right there and I'm saying I would like to also have you investigate. You know, we had 8 points or 7 that we could make, and that was the last point made. And I knew from different people and just looking at the design of plants from around the country, this is the only plant that doesn't have underground pipes carrying radionuclides?
Yeah, and they knew
How
that.
can that be?
I'm telling you right now, you cannot
Well,
be an
that scared
engineer at
me.
Vermont Yankee and not know that there's
Number
a pipe
one,
under the ground.
Where
You
are your
can't.
blueprints?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Oh,
a
they
little
had 'em.
scary.
They had 'em.
And the people, they didn't know they had them?
No,
That's
they knew.
very frightening to me.
They lied. On that
Well,
one right there,
there are technical terms for lying, and unfortunately, given my
Vermont
position
terms,
right
it's a lie.
now,
But you can say what you
I'm
can,
gonna
but I can
say
say whatever I want now.
grossly
That's the part I like.
misinformed, they misinformed us, and they
Big
misinformed
bad.
in themselves.
And I'm
Which is
sorry to all you
scarier.
employees that may be watching this.
Oh, this
there.
has nothing to do with
That
them.
has nothing to do with
No.
them. And you folks should be more pissed off at the people that are your bosses than you should be at me, a concerned citizen, about everything that I have around me
it's
that I
just
can
not
lose
right.
for their mistakes. So there,
Not
I
right.
said my part. Go, Sarah.
And the other thing was
Good
is
10
that
minutes.
I introduced the resolution for a just transition, where energy, you know, of course, maybe they are, but they just can't make it public. That's
Maybe.
my hope.
Maybe.
Because, you know, we have heard about how much they care about employees.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And I have no reason to doubt that until it's not
I
true.
doubt it.
But, and also there are a lot of different technical language here, Daryl. So, you know, are they buried or are they underground? I mean, maybe there's a technical thing of that. But somebody asked the other day.
Are they in concrete runway through? Oh, that ain't underground. We made a concrete, you know.
Yeah. So somebody, when Chairman Yazko was here, we had that meeting, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
how did it go, by the way? It was the first one in a while. Same old thing, huh?
It's very, very uninformative.
Yeah.
It-
That's too bad.
from
Because you spend an
a
awful lot of
regular-
time there to get information
Oh, my gosh.
and to try and make a difference and to just keep doing that, Sarah. Thank you.
But there was
do it.
I guess it was a comment from one of them in terms of, you know, they're underwater right now, the cables that are connected
Yeah.
to a system that's
Yeah.
very important. And
And tell me that doesn't deteriorate them.
yeah, and somebody who was part of the group said, well, are they submerged or are they just underwater? So
I know what they were. They were submerged underwater.
they were submerged or underwater. So, and then another one was that tritium is just a gateway nucleotide.
So what's the
other
deal?
things follow.
What
So what do you
is going to
wanna know?
happen next year then? What are we going to come up with? Because everybody,
Well,
you know, it's the
okay.
2012 deadline. What I think is going to happen is they're going to keep it running. They're going to keep it in courts, and you know, they're going to just play the court game with
Well,
us.
a lot's going to happen this summer. You know, we thought that October, their drop dead date was April, according to their issues document that I was reading. But that passed in April. And I think that, you know, there's a little buffer time. Now, businesses have to build in a buffer for when their deadlines are. I can totally get
I don't
that.
have a problem with that.
No, I don't either. But now it's something like July 7th or some early July where they're going to have to make a decision on whether to purchase the fuel or not. You know, you can't just purchase fuel because they have 10 other plants, minimally.
Right.
you can't just say, well, we'll purchase it and then we'll just ship it off to some other. They're
the regulations,
they're
the whole nine.
specifically engineered for these individual plants. Because,
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's something new for me.
We do not have cookie cutter plants in this country. They're all different, which is one of the
I didn't know that.
very
So
difficult
each rod
things.
is made different.
Not each rod, each rod assembly.
Yeah.
That's what I understand.
Okay.
So, everything's subject to,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
very
yeah.
casual here. So it's not that easy just to send it off. Now, I have to really check that, but that's what one expert told me. It's not as simple as that.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
So
Well, it makes sense
maybe
to
it
me,
needs
though.
to go get re-engineered, but you can imagine that that is a very difficult task.
Well, and just the paperwork following that
Oh, my goodness.
must be.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys in your committee expecting next year, though, from this
Well-
whole? Are you expecting to have to do anything
No.
here with these guys, or now it's kind of out of the committee's hands, right?
It's out of the legislature's hands at the moment,
It's
except
court.
that they're wanting all of our emails to be available.
I saw
You
that.
know, that's a
For
little
they
scary.
wanted mine, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I didn't have any. You'd have more than I
Oh,
did.
I have.
mean,
I
geez,
have.
I didn't. I never
practically
did.
half
talk
my
with-
computer.
Yeah, I bet.
But just trying to keep on top of it is it's a big job.
Yep.
And that's as a representative and as a a person who's involved in this, that's my obligation. And that was one of the things in keeping, with workers, it's my obligation to do my job, and I hope to gosh it's your obligation for doing your job, which I believe, I know that they take it seriously. But it doesn't do
I
any
work
good.
with those folks there. There's no doubt they take it seriously. I'm sure most of them were very embarrassed when the tower collapsed. I'm
The
sure they
tower,
didn't want
the
that to happen.
transformer fire.
But I mean, there's just too many little things. And my problem is the oops factor. Always has been that.
Yep.
Nothing against the employees, but if you do
I
have a
hope they
big
believe
mistake,
us, though, Daryl. I hope they believe us.
if you don't believe me, I don't personally care anymore,
Yeah.
Sarah. I mean, I
Yeah.
can be that you can do. You got to get a vote. I don't.
Well, no, it's not about the vote.
You know, I don't.
It's not about the
Well,
vote.
I mean,
It's
you got to
about
worry about how
community.
people. It is about
It's
community.
about community and good relations in your community.
It is about that, but sometimes when you're going up against the same forces, and what
Yeah.
I've learned is the people that want to save the plant, most of them have a direct benefit from the plant,
Of course.
and you don't want to take money from anybody's table. But my problem with the plant is it is unsafe as far as I'm concerned, and I could be totally wiped
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Totally. I could be a refugee
I
like
know.
in Japan.
I know.
And have
And we have
nothing.
the same plant.
Now, if you want to keep the plant operating for a while, you want to put a fund in there that's going to take care of all the displaced people. If you have a problem, you might get me to go that way a little bit more. But until then, I'm telling
Even
you,
if they
it's too
say
much
it,
of
though,
a
not the
dangerous.
workers. We're talking about management and
That's
the
right.
and the
Who doesn't have the
mother
same thing as
corporation there.
Yeah.
They don't understand Vermont.
No, we've already
They
figured
don't
that
understand
out.
us, so it doesn't work so good.
Well, it's going to be a big issue. It's one that I think the whole area is going to deal with. But I'll tell you what.
And it
in
is
my
gonna have
opinion,
a huge impact.
It is going to
Don't
have a
let
huge
anybody
impact,
tell
but we're
you
not
it's
going to
not.
we're not going to just
We're
drop
not
off the
gonna
face of the
roll over.
earth.
We're not gonna
okay?
roll over and
I
do
ain't
nothing.
leaving. Okay, I mean
Yeah.
it's going to be tough. There's
no
going to be
question
pain.
about it. And we talked about it 10 years ago.
That's exactly right. We were on a bus coming back from
10
visiting
years
the
ago,
things
we were
with.
telling this is going to be an issue, and we need
We need
plenty
to
of
do it
opportunity
now.
to
As a matter of
start
fact, you
preparing.
started legislation then.
That's right.
And nothing was happening. Of course, when
People
you
didn't
first
wanna
got there,
believe
we
it.
had a Republican House and a Republican Speaker and a Republican Governor, so it was a little tough
Yep.
for us to.
People
do anything.
didn't want to admit it. Well, we're often in denial about issues right in our face. You know, that's human nature.
Yeah. Well, hey, I worked there for 8 years. It was a great
8
place to
years, I
work.
didn't
I
realize that.
loved working there. It was in the 80s. Oh, that was what I wanted to say. I remember when we had an earthquake when I did work there. And it wasn't even a 4, I don't believe, and it was in up in near outside of Montreal, Quebec, I think. And I think it was probably in 81, maybe. And we had to replace and re-secure the walls that had cracked.
Okay. I have some
And
news for you.
That was on a 4.1 or a little less than that.
I just received I get
And I
a
was there.
lot,
I saw it.
I get a lot of emails through VSNAP,
Yeah.
through the Nuclear Advisory Panel, from the NRC. I mean, you could spend your whole life being on the NRC
Oh, sure you could.
and reading these reports. Well, I just happened to open this one, and it's talking about analysis after the Fukushima Daiichi plant and the
Wow,
problems and the
that was
fact that
good.
it's a Mark 1 and that we have a Mark 1, and there are known containment issues with the Mark 1s.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is a fact. But, so I'm reading one of the reports, and in that report, it says, and I need to go back and really reread, but there are a lot of, I want to say, components. I don't know how many are related to the overall, what the NRC is in charge of, which is, safety, but they have not.
I don't trust them.
They have not, they don't pass the seismic check standard.
When he got up there, when the new president got up there and said that, now, I was just a laborer, okay, 25 years ago working there.
Daryl.
And I was like, you guys are kidding me. And Sarah, and you've heard me say this, most of what I've always done, the reading is helps you based on what you come across, or what you prejudge or judge.
Right.
But it's what I've seen and what I've done hands-on. And I remember that so specifically. We had to put tons of rebarb through there. It was unbelievable. It was shut down for a while, and we were in there doing that. I was there. Okay, so don't tell me. And now they're telling me that it's safe enough to go through the highest one we'll ever have here. I don't believe it.
Well, you know something, Daryl?
I don't.
I also think it's fallacious thinking. Now, if I came to you and said, a jumbo jet is going to be a bomb and fly through the heart of New York City, Wall Street district.
Yeah, you would have said no way.
I would have said, you're a maniac.
Well, I wouldn't have thought this would have happened in Japan. Neither would millions of other people.
There's a lot of changes going on in the world in terms of our climate, et cetera. And I think we need to be extra careful and think outside the box. So
I agree.
I'll be interested. They did a walkthrough. They do a walkthrough inspection. On certain things. That's not enough.
No. Well, I got to tell you, Sarah, for me personally, and I think for a lot of other Brattleboro residents, we're glad you're there.
Thank you.
Okay, I mean, I worked with you, and I know how much you put into this, and I know that you travel a lot to get the information you need, so I just want to say thank you. And I'm glad you're there.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for taking the time out.
Yes, thank you, Daryl.
Coming with me, coming on the show here with me and talking to the folks here and let them know. As you can see, Representative Edwards is very busy. She is looking out for our best interests. If you need to get a hold of her, you know how to do it right there.
And do that.
And yes.
I can't always get back to you immediately, I have to say. All legislators are overwhelmed with emails, so be
And they
patient.
have no staff, okay?
No, we don't.
No staff, people.
It's not a complaint, it's just we need
No,
patience
it isn't.
on the other
It's not a complaint, but
on
people.
the other side.
How many times do you get that? Have somebody from your
Oh my
department.
gosh.
And we just don't have that. But listen, get a hold of her. This
Yep.
is a citizens legislature, and I know that they've always wanted to talk, and so.
And I have a trip coming up to St. Louis, Missouri through the National Conference of State Legislatures to a nuclear waste site. So I'll be able to report more on that.
Yep. Well, thank you again, Sarah.
Thank you.
And
it's my pleasure, Daryl, and my pleasure to be able to have this opportunity to speak with constituents and in my district, District 3.
Well, thank you
Let's
for coming on.
stay in touch.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
So for Sarah and for myself, I want to thank my cameraman, Joe. Hey, Joe, thanks a lot. He does all the work. Without him, the shows wouldn't happen. And maybe you too, Roland, I'm not sure. But I got to thank BCTV for giving me the opportunity to come on here and let you, the public, hear what's going on around us. And we'll see you next time right here with me. We're going to have another conversation.